Good morning. There's the famous joke about the guy who is pacing outside the delivery room, as per the Chasidus custom, not to be in the actual room during giving birth. He's outside and he's nervous, he's sweating, he's saying Tillim, he's pacing back and forth, and all of a sudden he hears a little cry. And the nurse opens the door and says, "Congratulations, sir. Your wife just gave birth to a healthy baby girl." It's like, phew, at least she'll never have to go through what I just went through. The pasuk in our parsha says, "Leisia mishakela va'akara." There will not be, there should not be, a miscarrier. It's a term, an expression for, God forbid, a woman that has a child and it doesn't survive. Va'akara, meaning va'akara, and a barren woman. Someone that it's not that she has a baby and it doesn't make it, so to speak, but she can't even conceive a child. Ba'artzecha, in your land, es mispar yamecha amali, I will fulfill the days of your life. There's a tremendous bracha. Hashem is saying that they won't miscarry and they won't be in a situation where they can't have a child in the first place, and there will be long life. Okay? Before this pasuk, Torah says you should serve Hashem. And this is reward, promise, bracha, that category that things are going to be great. Hine mudaz zeis, it's known, ki yesh l'mayla b'chinas eretz hachayim, above, in the supernal sense, there is something called the land of life, or the earth of life. Shemimena nishba chayim umazin l'klol Hashem Yisrael. From this level called Eretz Ha'olyena, the supernal land, comes forth life and nourishment for the general Jewish people. Avos Hashem, causing them to love Hashem. Lases kol mitzvaysav, to do all their mitzvahs. Asher yasa isam ha'adam b'chai b'hem, that a person will do with them and he'll live with them. What's this emphasis that he'll live? Chaim amitiyim, true life. Dugmas eretz halazu atachtena hagashmi, similar to this low material world. Shematzmachas kol mini megodim, which down here, this earth, physically, sprouts forth all different types of delicacies, to sustain the spirit of all life. Chaim Gashmi. Just like in the physical sense, you have earth, and out of this earth you have produce and fruits, etc. And without that, you don't have sustenance. And without this earth, which is producing produce, there is no sustenance and no life for anyone that lives on this earth. If it's not going to help you, an abundance of wealth, riches, gold, silver, if you're not going to have anything sprouting from the earth, your gold is not going to help you much. What are you going to eat? Someone wanted to say that you could eat animals. Animals are not going to have what to eat. The earth has to produce. Similarly, all spiritual life, which comes to a person, all that comes to the person is through or from this supernal land, which goes to as it says in the lands of life. So he says like this, that to understand this concept of what does it mean, there won't be a miscarrier, and it won't be a barren, and so on, and you have a long life. We have to appreciate what this means, that there's this supernal earth. Just like in the physical sense, earth is what produces and gives us delicacies and things, and without that, anyone that's on the earth can't survive. Similarly, there's a spiritual level called Eretz Ha'olyena, and that provides to the person the life that he could have Avas Hashem, to love Hashem, and to fulfill everything that Hashem wants in a way of life, because you have to live with the Torah mitzvahs, and it's from that pasuk that we learn if it's a risk, it's a question of life and death, you break the mitzvah, minus a few exceptions, but you break the mitzvah in order to do the mitzvah and live with it. Or as Chazal said, Chalal alav Shabbos achas, you should desecrate one Shabbos for it, in order that you should be able to fulfill many other Shabbosos afterwards. So if a person's life is in danger, you don't say sorry, you go to the hospital after Shabbos, but he has to go, but he's desecrating the Shabbos. Desecrate one, and you fulfill many, many, many more. Now you can't just do this on your own because of convenience or so on, but if it's a matter of life and death, then you can. So there's a spiritual source that gives the person the nourishment that he needs to have the spiritual drive to serve Hashem, the love for Hashem. In these parentheses, he talks about why the pasuk says lands plural. There's one land, the supernal land. Why is it plural? Why it says lands many. There is a higher land and a lower land. In the spiritual concept of earth, there's a higher one and a lower one. The Hainu. Knesset Yisrael de Le'ela or Knesset Yisrael de L'Sata. There's the gathering or the collective of the Jewish people. Let's call it the level of the neshama, the way it is above, and then there's the way it is below. Below is still spiritual, but there's a higher and a lower. Kigam L'Mayla yesh b'chinas Knesset Yisrael ki Yisrael ola b'machshava. Because L'Mayla, which means in some real high source, there's also a concept of the Jewish people. It's called Knesset Yisrael because Yisrael ola b'machshava. This higher level that's there is because even before Hashem created the world, it says that Hashem, in Hashem's mind, so to speak, the concept of the Jewish people went up there. So we existed on some level already. That's the higher level. Be it as it may, lands means there's a land, a higher and a lower, but the concept is the same. It's providing nourishment, love, that the Yidden should have love for Hashem to serve Him. Just like down here, you have an earth which gives us whatever we need. Now, what's the analogy of earth? It could have been anything. There's some source that provides. Why is this emphasis of earth? V'nikra b'shem eretz, it's called eretz. Why? Kikemei eretz halazu agashmi, it's just like this physical earth. In kayach tzmichasam mitzad atzma, the strength of its sprouting is not on its own. Elamin azriya, rather, things don't just produce food. You have to plant. The koyach hatzemeach, and then there's this koyach hatzemeach, the ability to sprout. It's a spiritual quality that the earth has. Asher nitan ba, which is given to it. That from her and through her should grow and sprout all the seeds that are inside. So eretz is not just a coincidental thing. We need to find some kind of way to say source. There's a planting that has to happen, like a physical placing of a seed in the ground, and there's a spiritual element of the earth that was given to it, that has the properties to be able to produce.
And man is called Adam because he comes from the ground.
Very good. And he has to plant.
He has to plant, and Eretz Yisrael is also a mashal for the Yid because he's supposed to.
Yeah, very good. Similarly, spiritual life, which flows and comes from the land of life. Yes, they flow from the source of and the life of the living one, Hashem. Kihu, because Hashem, the living Hashem, is the one that He's the one that gives strength in the earth to bring out its sprouting. But this is the task of man, is to plow and to plant in it. Just like earth. It has a koyach hatzemeach, something there. You can't plant in sand, right? Earth has something which is going to allow it to produce. But you have to put an effort. Similarly, a Yid, we have things Hashem gave us. There's this Eretz Halyena, which is just providing Avos Hashem. But if you don't cultivate it, if you're not going to plow and plant, nothing's going to result from it. Like it says, the light which was planted to the tzaddik. Now, simply what this means is that when Hashem created the world, there was a certain level of light which was so intense, and Hashem hid it for the tzaddikim. But Zaru ala tzaddik means literally planted light for the tzaddik. And it's interesting, we all learn Tanya, we know that the term tzaddik is a very specific term, and we don't just throw it around. These days, you want to say that someone's nice, you say he's a tzaddik. He's a man, just such a tzaddik. People call their kids little tzaddiks, right? Tzaddik is someone who doesn't have any Yetzer Hara. In other words, he has zero inclination to do anything bad. He completely got rid of the bad, he actually despises bad. Over here, the same Alter Rebbe is going to say, it's fascinating, he says like this. It says your nation, they're all tzaddikim. We're not talking about a descriptive term, the true level of tzaddik, which has been explained elsewhere. In other words, in this pasuk, when it says tzaddik, we're not referring to the tzaddik of Tanya level. He's literally has no negativity in him. By the day, Adam kosher. We're talking about a kosher person, meaning a person who's a pretty good guy. He's not, God forbid, a wicked man. Which is because of tzaddik v'rasha like Amar. Like it says, Hashem, when He created the world, in Eiv, it says He didn't say, are you going to be a tzaddik or rasha? In other words, of course, some people are created with an evil inclination and an animalistic drive and so on. But I didn't say you're going to be wild, wicked, mean, like hurtful. Not that level of wickedness. Just normal guy, right? So this is what we're talking about. Hashem says, I planted light for tzaddikim. All Yidden are called tzaddikim, not the tzaddik, but we could be decent people. And the light that we're talking about, this light that was hidden, that was planted, it's the love for Hashem, and the thirst to Hashem, which flows to the person. This love for Hashem, this thirst for Hashem, is planted in the living earth for the tzaddik. So, for your average yid, meaning even your average yid, there's a certain light, which means avas Hashem, which is planted, it's available, it's there, for every single person. And this causes or helps us to develop a love for Hashem, and this love is the drive, the healthy drive, that's going to get us to serve Hashem, do His mitzvahs, live the way Hashem wants, and so on.
So this drive, this Yiras Hashem, when we connect to that
Avas Hashem.
Avas Hashem, when we connect to that river, so to speak, in the ether, the river of machshava, then it enlivens our neshama to.
Yep.
Okay. To serve.
What he's going to get at is, it's there, but you have to plant it. In other words, you have to access it. It's just like you have this great field, and it could produce, but if you're not going to plow it first, which is hard work, and plant it and cultivate it, you're not going to get it. Similarly, every tzaddik has access to this, meaning every yid has access to it, because everyone's a tzaddik, in the general sense. But we have to put an effort, real effort.
I was reading in Likutei Moharan that you have to, that it takes time, that once you pause the Averis, then you have to be patient for the ruchnius to like settle in, to actually be able to be felt. So if we apply that to this metaphor right here, it's almost like the Averis are like the weeds that in the field that the crops aren't going to grow.
He uses the term wait.
Yeah, patience.
It's interesting because, this mimer, as I mentioned, the Rebbe has a mimer on this, very, very monumental mimer. And here also he speaks about when a person is so involved in materialism, as we'll learn, it's a blockage. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not allowing the flow, so to speak, to come in. Pirushli is tzaddik mekusher Hashem. In order to be a tzaddik and connected to Hashem, the dav kabay, to attach himself with Him. So there's this ava, which is this light, which is planted for the person to be able to do it. The zeis yasem adam aliboy, and this is something which a person should place to his heart, meaning he should pay attention to. The yedan emana, and he should know thoroughly, properly. The yamin b'emunah shleima, and he should believe with a complete faith. Ki kol ava v'yira nimshachem elav, all love and fear for Hashem, both of them, the ava and yira emotions. Humatas elikim, it's a gift from Hashem. Who gives the ability to sprout in the supernal earth, to sprout out love for Hashem and fear for Hashem on His face. They do not come from the strength of the person who serves himself. In other words, the way that this works is Hashem gives it, and you don't get it on your own. Now you have to develop it, but Ava and Yira is a gift. Now it's to be very, very clear in this description. A gift means you don't do anything for it; you just given to you. In this case, he explained it's a gift, but just like the earth, it's a gift. If you don't do anything with it, you're not going to get it. So you have to put an effort, but it's results from above. Therefore, the whole main avodah of the person, It's not that he should be the server of Hashem and he should be the lover, meaning, I am now Oived Hashem, I am now Oyev Hashem. These things are true, but that can't be the drive. It becomes a very altruistic, godly focused service of Hashem. It's not about me, it's about him. Like it says, and you'll serve the Eibishter, your God.
It's one of the reasons why this is the first halacha we learn in Mishpatim.
Of what?
Of
Evet?
Evet.
Yeah, beautiful. There's a, the Rebbe explains this and he says, from Chazal you find where Tana would say, I don't know where they're taking me, right? In other words, I don't know what level I reached. I mean, you don't know what level you reached. I wasn't focused on my level. I'm going to get to this state, to that state. I was serving Hashem. What does Hashem want from me now? And that was my focus, and it's a huge difference. If it's about me, okay, so where am I at? Where am I headed? I don't mean strategy to know and to have a cheshbon nefesh, but if your goal is Hashem, you're not lost on, am I there yet? Am I good enough yet? Am I bad enough?
I need to feel the ruchnius
Exactly. Yep. Pirush just means, any movement. Okay, now here's a very fascinating question, and it's again fundamental. It says you should serve Hashem. So the emphasis is not you, the emphasis is Hashem. 1 second, he says. Simple understanding of the verse, serve Hashem. Does Hashem need our work? Right? A human being, if you say I have a servant, because you can't or don't want to clean your bathroom, so you have a servant that cleans it for you. So you need something done, and he's able to fulfill it for you. Hashem is not lacking anything. What could you possibly do for Hashem? Oh, I have this servant that does this for me. He cooks my meals. No one has to cook it. You didn't have it till I cooked it. Does Hashem need our avodah? Is there anything lacking by Hashem? And if you'll be righteous, what are you going to give to him? In other words, how could you possibly provide anything to the Eibishter that is, you are righteous, as the pasuk says, what are you giving to him? Very nice, that's very good. You're a good boy today. What does Hashem benefit from it? Let's say you were bad. You think he cares?
He doesn't need a loan of $50.
Really? Exactly. Elohim, the idea is, ki havaya pirush haya hevaviyya havaya, which is the pirush. He was, he is, and he will be. Again, the pasuk said, "Havadatem es havaya lekechem." You'll serve havaya, your God. What does havaya mean? It's talking about a very specific level of godliness. The level of, it's huge, right? It's a very high level. Was, is, and will always be, above time. In the word havaya, it's comprised of these two words.
Present, past, and future.
Yeah. Vani havaya leishanisi. And I'm the Eibishter. I don't change. Again, havaya is about not changing, which obviously means a very high level. The kula kamei kula chashiv. And everything in front of Hashem is nothing. Your avodah will be so much to the extent that havaya is going to turn into the level of alekechem for you. To explain, Yud Kei Vav Kei is one of Hashem's names. Let's call it one of the levels of godliness, and that is above the world. It's beyond time, past, present, the future is the same. It's unchangeable, and so on. Elikim is the level of God that interacts with the world. It's the gematria, same numerical equation as Hateva, which is nature. And that's called the level of God, the energy, the way that's driving nature, okay, for lack of a better term. It's more relatable, more accessible, more interactable. They're all interactable, but it's a little bit closer to here. We're saying you should serve Hashem, serve Hashem, that higher level, to the extent that it becomes Elikechem, which is a major accomplishment. It should dwell and be wedged or permanent in his mind and in his thoughts, umurgash and felt the nitfas besichle and grasped in his intellect. It should be so real to him, it's as if his eyes literally see godliness. So I could serve Hashem. I heard about this concept. I'm supposed to serve Him. Whatever. It is what it is. It's one of those things I have to do. Or you could be so into it And your mind, and this is the key here, it's planted and rooted in the mind of the person that it's as if I see it in front of me.
Everything that appears before you, quote unquote good, quote unquote bad, it's all divine.
Right. But to feel that, you have to have a tremendous connection. So you could have a Havaya level of serving, which is a very high level. But with the Havaya comes a Helen. In other words, you don't feel it. Because you're here and it's beyond us.
It's also,
Bring it into your own world, which is really key.
it's also first pasuk in Shulchan Aruch.
And similarly, this is the order of all the praises. Why is there this whole concept of praise Hashem, the great one, the mighty one, etc., the awesome one? Because in the place where you find Hashem's greatness, that's where you find His humility. It's not a contradiction. The greatness is able to come down, and that's the humility that it's able to descend and be interacted with. Because truth be told, nothing is considered anything in front of Hashem. Excuse me. And His enclothing in a way of gedula, so to speak, that's a humility. The fact that Hashem is great, and we can even use that term, and He's kind, that's a humility, because Hashem is beyond that. It's not like a human being, you want to be nice, you express it in a certain way. Hashem is well beyond that. But that's where you see His greatness, in the humility that He lowers Himself down, so to speak. The hu be'emes ikira aveda, that is truly the main aveda, to bring forth, meaning to serve Hashem in such a manner that the highest of levels is felt and it's really alive and revealed to the person. To the extent that you say, no, Havaya for you is like Elikim. And from here is the main beginning from above to below. Okay, so there's going to be a dual, multi-directional relationship. One is our efforts. I got to do my part and connect my mind really, really strong. And then it starts to flow from above to below, where I have Ava and Yira and so on. So is it automatic? No. It's a gift from Hashem. That gift only flows to you if you plow and you plant and you cultivate. It's truly a very great Aveda. In other words, you ask the question, why do you say serve Hashem? Hashem doesn't need your service. He doesn't need anything. We're talking about a different type of service. We're talking about a service where you're bringing the level of Elikus from a Havaya state that it's so felt in your mind, it's so real that it's like Elikim. But it's a very great Aveda. That his physical, material mind will be able to kabel the litfeis by Gilui Elikus Yisbarach, will be able to accept and grasp a revelation of godliness. Meaning, bekan nildo v'nis'erida midas ava v'yira. From here was born and awakened a midah of love and fear for Hashem, v'nikra b'shem Hilada, and it's called Hilada. Just to recap here, because it's a different concept. So you go from the properties are there, and it's a gift that Hashem gave us, and I need to develop it. And how do I develop it? With my mind. And the koyach that I have, which is very hard, is to think about something and really delve into it deeply, to the extent that it comes down into Ava and Yira. And the next part he explains that, well, what's many places in Chasidus, the idea of giving birth, that emotions are children of meditation, of thought. And based on everything we said, of course the Ava is there, of course the Yira is there, we have it. It's a gift. But it could be there and it could be Avaya, it's somewhere, Or it could be level of Elikim. And that's where the hard part is.
I never understood man as Adam the Aretz until now.
Very good. Thanks for joining us again soon.